Welcome back, Lions fans. We are back. It is patriotic time here. Feeling a little bit of the 4th of July vibes, although there's not much fireworks going on in terms of Lions news, but we still have plenty of stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah, so this week we're actually going to pull our segment back in here, the one we started last week, and we're going to address some hard-hitting questions that we found on X in our quick hits segment.
Credit to me on the pun there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. No, it is. I'll give you that.
We'll also, jump into our main event here, and as we always do, hit some Lions news that's been going on in the past week. We've got a lot of stuff going on outside of the Lions in terms of media outlets talking about the Lions and just things in general regarding them, as well as a current legend in the NFL at his position, crediting a young Lions athlete.
After he didn't get the credit he deserved on Madden. So,
yep. And you'll find out who that is later. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Then the last thing we'll have is our weekly That Was Random. Not a whole lot of good things to talk about there. But if you're into feeling depressed and like talking about legal actions and the Detroit Pistons, or if you're a Tigers fan and just want to come on over and listen to this and feel just as bad as when the Tigers play, then check it out.
As always, we'd like to thank our sponsor here, Empire Contracting. That's Andy Neer over here in Shelby. We appreciate him for sponsoring us, and we'll have a little bit more on him later in the show.
For sure. All right, let's move into quick hits. Let's check this out. Let's start here with the Sports Illustrated article. It's talking about Aleem McNeil here. Somebody predicted him to be the first-time Pro Bowler this year. What do you think about that?
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, all you really have to do is play well enough to win the popular vote. We all know the Pro Bowl doesn't really care about how good you actually are. If you're popular enough, you'll get a vote. So, I mean, that's just going to be more of, are the Lions fans liking Aleem McNeil enough to be cashing votes out his way?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's a little bit of, we're going to get a lot more. We've got all those primetime games, so we're going to get a lot more around the league, exposure, I guess would be the right word to say. We're going to get a lot more exposure from fans that aren't necessarily always watching the Lions, and hopefully that's going to increase some of these votes, even outside of Aleem McNeil. I do think that Aleem gets a lot more praise, even in, the ESPN stats or whatever else. I think he shows up on a lot of tape because of a healthy DJ Reader. I think that's going to help him a lot. So
yeah, and I think we're due to get some more Pro Bowlers. Last year we got a fair amount of recognition, but I think there were a lot of places that we were missed on where there should have been guys there that weren't. We had Hutch, who made it last year. Panay made it. Frank Ragnow, Sam LaPorta, and Germ made it for special teams. I think there were, other guys that deserved nods. I certainly think Glasgow could have at least been named as an alternate. I think Jared Goff should have been in the conversation for a starter.
Yeah, definitely.
Role. Jameer Gibbs and Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra, David Montgomery. Some of those guys all of those guys that I just named actually were named alternates, but not starters. I can't believe Amon-Ra above all should have definitely been a starter.
If Amon-Ra didn't, I know he ended up playing because what was the person starting over him? Was he in the Super Bowl? I'm trying to remember how that worked, but he ended up getting he was there and considered a starter because of it, but or maybe it was AJ Brown. AJ Brown said he wasn't going. That's what it was. So I was all set to write off the Pro Bowl, and I honestly have.
Pro Bowl,
right? It's just like go hang out with your buddies. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. So
playing mini games on Madden is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. Days. Yeah, that's that's about what it's like. Trying to get bronze, silver, or gold, so you can get extra points for your training, but. So yeah, I can see it. I can see Aleem McNeil ending up a Pro Bowler. That's not out of the question. I'm not saying he's a sure shot or a surefire in, but I can see it. So
we prefaced in the introduction that we were going to have some burning questions, hard-hitting questions, I think is what we called it, on the Lions, and I think we might as well just kick it off with one that's probably going to have a lot of discourse between Lions fans and those outside of the Lions organization, and that's, does Jared Goff have a chance to win MVP this year?
Ooh, man, that's a polarizing question. Just like you kind of alluded to, that question is going to. There's a lot of people that do not stand in a gray area on that one. I think he has a chance. I'll be honest with you. I think uh, up until I think it was the second Bears game last year, I saw him in that MVP race. I think he fell out after that game, just because he struggled so bad in that game. But you know, a healthy Goff, a healthy offensive line. If his weapons stay healthy and Ben Johnson continues to absolutely cook, why not? It's silly to say he couldn't. I think, and that's me standing on that other polarized spot. Is I think it's silly for people saying that he couldn't be in the MVP race.
Well, realistically, what I would say there is, of course, he has a chance to make the MVP race. There's 32 guys that are at least going to have a chance, and that's every single person playing the quarterback position.
And that's it. Yeah, you pretty much cross out all the defensive players and offensive line.
I don't think there's an argument between us here that this year should not have been a quarterback at MVP. I mean, Lamar Jackson won it, and by no means did he deserve that award over Christian McCaffrey.
No. That was a snub too. We're talking about snubs. That was a big one too.
I think when you look at the MVP, there's a recipe that you kind of have to follow in order to get there. And it starts off with consistency. People want you to be consistent every week. If you have a bad game, you better recover from it with something amazing.
Major.
If you have one bad game, it's going to knock you. The second thing I think is flashy numbers. I think you have to have, I don't know what the exact number is, 3 to 4 games a year where you just put up massive numbers.
Like where we're getting to halftime and we're talking about breaking records and stuff.
Or like, you have a game where you're like up over 350 towards 400 yards passing and you've got I'd say more than 3 touchdowns or more.
Yeah.
I think would be something like that. You need at least a few of those games sprinkled in so that people can look back and see something that they're going to remember about you that stuck out outside of the stat sheet there. Another thing I will say is the turnover numbers. You cannot turn the ball over very much. I think there's very few quarterbacks who have won MVP who have put up huge numbers, but they threw a ton of interceptions because that's always a knock. It's like, yeah, of course he's going to have big numbers because he was just whipping the ball down the field and hoping it got caught by somebody.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, like, you say that, and my first thought is, obviously someone recent is Josh Allen. He's always up there in that conversation, but then you look and he's got the most turnovers in the entire league. You look back at, I think Brett Favre, I can't remember, I think he won it a couple times or at least once, but he's one of the most, interception-prone players in the NFL. He probably would have had a couple more if it weren't for that. So, yeah, I totally agree.
There was a year back when Jameis Winston was with the Bucs, and I think he was in that conversation as well because you remember he had...
Yeah, then he stole crab legs and he got, and then he didn't end up.
He had that huge year where he was, I don't remember how many yards and touchdowns he put up. It was crazy, but I think he also set the record for most interceptions thrown in a season.
I think his first NFL throw was a pick six, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it was too. But no, that's another thing. And then the last thing is winning. Your team has got to win.
Yeah.
People do not vote for an MVP on a losing team. It just does not happen.
No, you've got to go deep into whether it's deep into the playoffs or like you're saying, a lot of wins in the season. So,
let me ask you a question then. Are you saying that you think that despite their best efforts to say otherwise, that voters contribute postseason into their voting because it's supposed to be a regular season award?
100%. I 100% think that happens. There's no doubt in my mind. Lamar Jackson is a very good example. I think he was in the national spotlight because he went deep into the playoffs, went into the AFC Championship game. And I think that the playoffs played a recency bias part in the minds of some of the voters. I really do.
Here's where I'll differ. I do agree that maybe the postseason does have an effect on it, but I don't think that affected Lamar as much because he did have a nice season. I'm not going to scratch anything off of there. He had a good season. And maybe in any other year where there weren't as high of performers as there were, he would have won MVP for his regular season performance.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the effect he had versus what Christian McCaffrey had, there's no doubt who should have won that award.
McCaffrey. And again, we're talking about stats and what McCaffrey did, and we're talking about he had those big games. He had a few of those really big games. I remember this because this guy had him in fantasy, and it seems like every time I was playing against this guy, he had a stellar game.
He was good for at least an average of 25 points a game.
Let alone Dad beating me on a last-second Brock Purdy stinking rushing touchdown, which his first, I think it's his first and last in his career.
That one too. I was like, watch them run the ball. Quarterback sneak this one.
You guys should have seen my face on that one. It was like if we could put that in a frame, it would have been great. But what I was getting at is, McCaffrey had those games, and then if you were a betting person and you were betting whether McCaffrey would have a touchdown in a game, you were betting that he would have a touchdown because I think he might have broke that record, didn't he, for the most consecutive games with a touchdown? I think he was close, if not.
He was close, if not. I think he tied it at one point. I don't know if he broke it, but the last thing I want to say is I think outside factors other than the regular season, maybe they say they don't, but I think they do have an impact, and I think in some cases they should have an impact. And you're looking at this year, and I'm gonna keep beating this horse, but Christian McCaffrey has a season unlike many running backs, and you don't see a running back have a season like that very often.
Not anymore. No, not in this league.
No,
anymore.
You just don't, and in the factor I'm talking about is history. There's got to be a little bit of history to say we never give the MVP award to anyone other than quarterbacks. We just had a running back who was one of, if not the best player in the NFL this year. I cannot imagine what's going through your head where
if you don't vote for
him.
Right.
To him. I just don't understand.
And this is coming from, I mean, I don't know how you feel, I kind of do, but I'm not going to speak for you, I should say. This is coming from a sour person when it comes to San Francisco 49ers. Like, if I had any reason to say, I don't want Christian McCaffrey to be MVP, then I would definitely take that. But he was deserving. I'm kind of wondering. I know this is silly, and it'll never happen, but I'm kind of wondering because it's basically become... It's kind of like the Heisman, right? So, like, it's pretty much become a quarterback thing. Like, so I'm wondering, is it time to split, where we talked about salary caps for quarterbacks specialized, is it time to split and do, like, an MVP for the quarterback, knowing that is the position that runs the offense and essentially runs the team? Is it time for that and then an MVP, a non-quarterback MVP?
I don't know. Maybe you want to do... what the what the Madden formula is. I don't know if you pay attention to that when you get through a season in Madden, you go to your postseason awards. They don't just have MVP Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie, Defensive Rookie. They have all of those awards, but then they go down the list and they have
the best
quarterback.
Yeah,
in the
you're
NFC
right.
and the AFC, best running back, best wide receiver / tight end, best O lineman, best D lineman / edge rusher, best linebacker, and then best DB and best kicker. I think that's a lot of awards they give out.
I can see them doing something like that. I get what you're saying. What I'm trying to think of is a way to still recognize the quarterbacks the way we are, which again, it's deserving. I'm not saying that. The quarterback position is probably one of the hardest positions in the NFL. Like, you have to know every route, every scheme. I mean, you have to know everything. I get that. But I'm wondering, if we could do something like that where you get the best quarterback, but then you give the MVP to a non-quarterback so you keep its prestige. Like, if you start giving, the best NFC defensive lineman, you start taking away from the prestige of it. So I'm wondering if you just turn it into two, you maybe split it, make like a co-MVP. One is a quarterback, one cannot be a quarterback, and go from there. I just wonder if maybe that's one of those things like the NFL and NBA. They're known for always doing stuff like that. Like the NBA has like the play-in tournament now, and they have the middle of the season tournament. Stupid. But they're trying to do things to like get people engaged and like change with the times. So I'm wondering if it's time to do something like that with the MVP. But I don't want to stay too long on that. Well, yes, Goff has a chance.
And the NFL's kind of been following that movement with their pulling ideas from the UFL. And,
yes.
And that with the kickoff and. That's exactly what the NBA does, and I'll say it's one of the very few things that the NBA does better than the NFL is their ability to use their minor leagues to incorporate new rules and test them out, and
Mm-hmm.
then if they work to incorporate them, and we saw that this year with like the transition take foul, where
Yep.
if they're on fast break and somebody fouls them, it's not just going to be like, okay, you guys get the ball out of bounds. They're going to shoot a free
Shooting free
throw, and
throw.
then they're going to
Yep.
get possession.
Yes, and I mean they've done that with a clear path foul. They've done, so they're always changing and evolving, and the NFL is as well. I mean, look at the NFL. I was looking just for the fun of it. I was looking at like old like Night Train Lane videos, and I'm just like, look at the way the NFL has changed. Just like even the rules and stuff, the stuff they did back then, like it's crazy. You could kill somebody and get away with it back then.
I said
So
this already, but it's the last thing I'm going to say on this MVP award topic. To me, the problem doesn't lie so much with the formula or the way the awards are set up. It lies with the voters themselves. There's got to be some kind of better vetting process, I'm thinking, because I don't understand why we're letting like commentators
right,
like vote for
yeah,
that. Like I'm gonna you tell me right now that you've got if Tony Romo. I don't know if he was a voter this year. I don't know if Tony Romo is ever a voter in there, and there's a Dallas Cowboy even sniffing that MVP race. You're not gonna tell me that Tony Romo's not gonna vote for the Cowboy, or at least have an inkling to want to.
Yes,
vote for
he'll
the
be the
Cowboy.
first one to say he didn't, but obviously, I don't know, whatever. But I agree with you. I think there's bias there.
And I don't know how to fix it because
I
the
do.
NFL is such a widespread product that everybody has some kind of interest in a
I
specific team.
I totally do. The same thing we're trying to do with a little bit of the, of the officiating. We have AI now. I'm not saying we go all AI. I'm not saying that because I know people are against it still or are leery of it. But the AI can look at stats. The AI can see, you know, certain things that have gone bad or gone good for a player. And I think that it could be a good portion. I'm not saying you still want to have voters. You still want to have that because there is a little bit of a popularity vote, which is fine. I'm good with that. But I don't think it should decide it. I think you should have some sort of like system. I mean, and it's something unfathomable in my mind, but we're talking a multi-billion-dollar company in the NFL. Like, there's got to be some kind of computerized system to help them with this. There just has to be.
All right.
So,
Well, let's leave that where it is.
yes, sir.
I'm not going to talk too much about what you just said because you might be an idiot.
Might be. Hey, at least you're giving me credit. There's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
So the last question we're going to have here in our quick hit segment is going to be focusing on the tight end room and young Sam LaPorta. The question here is, do we think that Sam LaPorta is on his way to the dreaded sophomore slump in 2024?
Madden thinks he's headed to a sophomore slump in 2024.
Check that 1 second. I do want to say that to anyone freaking out about Madden ratings right now, I do not believe those are the ratings we're going to see in the game. I think those are the ratings from where the players left off at the end of last season, and they just put them. They're in the database and they carry over. Madden always makes a huge to do about their ratings week.
Oh yeah, that's true, and you haven't heard anything about that at all.
And that
was
doesn't
leak.
come out till like a few weeks
Yeah.
leading up to the game.
Okay.
Which is in August, mid-August or so.
So let me answer the question, I guess, without using Madden. I think he can 100% avoid a sophomore slump, and here's why. Jameer Gibbs. I think Jameer Gibbs is a person that can catch the ball out in space, and I think that always opens up a tight end. And again, I said I was going to go away from Madden, but this is how I know, how schemes work because I play Madden and I see how it works. But every time you put a running back that can run out in the flat and catch the ball, the tight end always gets a little more open. It happens every time. I'm not saying Madden is the end all be all and it should be realistic. Well, it should be realistic, but it's not. But I think that Gibbs, if there's two guys, a good season by Gibbs, avoiding a sophomore slump, which nobody's talking about that. We're just talking about Sam LaPorta for some reason. A good season by Gibbs and a good season by JMO. Here we go again with this. We have to have a wide receiver too. We cannot have a tight end that we're relying on as a wide receiver too. We can't do that. because then he will have a sophomore slump. But if we get those two guys and they have decent years, I do not think I see a sophomore slump. Will his numbers go down a little bit? Yes, but can you say it's a slump? No, he's not going to have a Torkelson year.
I think I'll elaborate on that a little bit when you're talking about Gibbs. Is the reason you see a tight end maybe get open is because those tight ends operate the middle of the field mostly. And if you have a running back stretching out wide, that pushes people to the sidelines.
Exactly. You spread.
Who's going to cover a running back most of the time?
You can get a linebacker. Yep.
And the linebackers roam the middle of the field. If they're in a zone coverage and you see a running back rolling out to the left side of your zone, if you're, I guess, their right side of their zone or whatever, they're going to drift that way a little bit, which it's subtle, but it allows a fraction of a second for the tight end to get open and the quarterback to hit him. Yes. And if that's your design play because the linebackers are giving you trouble, then it's going to work, I'd say 75% of the time.
Exactly. So, yeah, you basically, take what he said and, put it into my words because that's what I meant. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. For real.
No, to me, I don't think he's going to have a sophomore slump. It is very hard for me to see what he did in his rookie season. And then you talk about, he had an injury he was dealing with at the end. You talk about, he realistically, how hard is it to come in and be an instant starter as a rookie and produce like
that? As a tight end. Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think the way he talks is he's preparing to avoid that exact situation. And maybe he doesn't have huge numbers catching the ball, but maybe he improves blocking, and that's just as good.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of I guess even expand on what we're saying as far as spreading out, we're talking side to side, spreading the defense. If JMO, this is why I said JMO. If JMO's able to get open and take the top off and just literally be downfield, you've got crossing routes with your slant merchant. You've got crossing routes with Amon-Ra. Who are these guys going to hone in on? You've got to make a decision. So if you've got somebody with the speed of JMO that can catch the ball and track the ball, hopefully he's better at this year. He is a complete downfield threat, and it just is going to spread the offense the defense from sideline to sideline, and it's going to spread it out going backwards. So
yeah, and we already know this is where Jared Goff excels, is hitting guys over the middle of the field. That's where Amon-Ra makes his money, is over the middle. He's constantly making catches right in the heart of the defense,
and he's made a lot of money doing it, or will pretty soon.
Yep. So that's it for our quick hit segment. I think we might as well just roll into our main event here.
Yeah, let's head into the main event.
This show is brought to you by Empire Contractors over here in Shelby, Michigan, on the west side of the state where we do our show, right along the lakeshore. Empire Contractors is a commercial roofing contractor who specializes in liquid-applied roofing restoration. Check this out.
They can clean your existing roof, make some minor repairs, and apply a new thick coating system over your existing roof, avoiding expensive and nasty tear-off, saving you about half the cost over other systems. Empire Contractors work the entire Great Lakes region.
Give them a call to see if your roof is a candidate. They can be reached at 231-861-7221 or by going to roofsbyempire.com. They are also on Facebook. All right, so we're going to move right in here on the main event, and we'll talk about a very popular ESPN analyst, or NFL analyst, whatever. I think she's ESPN.
Yes.
But Mina Kimes was on a Detroit broadcast. If you guys know Woodward Sport, she was on the heavyweight show with Spencer and Easy.
Yeah. Yep. Good guys, like those guys.
Yeah, she had some good talking points that they asked her some questions, and the first one they asked them was, both of those guys, Spencer and Easy, both talked about having Gibbs in their top 6 running backs in the NFL, and they were asking her are we crazy for doing that? Like, is that too much considering what we've seen from him so far?
Yeah, Easy actually said that sometimes he feels like he's like a homer because, he's putting him up that high. But
yeah. So they asked Mina, and her response was Gibbs is really good. She wasn't surprised that people could have him that high, but her thing was, she just said coming out of college she knew he was good, but she didn't know he was going to be that good between the tackles running the ball.
Yep.
She also said he was a lot more physical than what he showed on tape at Alabama.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I really do. Like, I think he obviously had like he had the flash, he had the flair. Um, he's a lot stronger than he looks. I mean, he looks like out in pads. I mean, you put him next to Monty, and Monty just looks like a beast compared to him. And he just, I don't know, man. He's strong. He's got a lot of toughness. I hope his toughness on Madden is like 100 this year because he's
I don't think it's
crazy
be
tough.
No, he did pleasantly surprise me with how small of a frame he has. The fact that he was able to take the kind of hits and stay balanced the way he does it's pretty insane.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other thing they talked about that we wanted to hit on was on the defensive side, and they talked about how weak the defense was last year, especially against the pass.
Yep.
And they said, is it possible that the Lions are a top 15 defense now this year after making the secondary additions they did in Carlton Davis, Terry and Arnold, Amik Robertson, so on and so forth?
Yeah.
She essentially said she loved the Terry and Arnold pick and called it a perfect fit for the Lions, saying, she knows, we all know what Aaron Glenn is all about on the defense, and that's man
coverage. Yep.
defense. And she said, he talked about it last year that he could not run the kind of defense that he's comfortable running because they did not have the personnel in order to run that kind of stuff. They went and picked out the personnel to be able to run that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll see Glenn in his bag a little bit this year.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, it's we've alluded to it and we've heard it all over the place. Honestly, I mean, I just think people are a lot more confident in Glenn, and I think Glenn is going to be more confident in his team and ultimately himself because of this. Mina literally said like Aaron Glenn, and I've said it before on the show, like I haven't given him enough credit because, like she said, like he was a candidate for an NFL head coach. So, like, obviously,
2 years in a row.
the dude can still coach. Like, he can coach. He just didn't have the pieces, and coming from someone like Mina Kimes who covers the entire NFL, for her to like reiterate and say, essentially that what we had last year was not good because a lot of people. I'm going to throw Cam Sutton out there. I'm just going to say it, and it's hard for me to have any ground or a dog in this fight because I don't necessarily. I've made it obvious I didn't like Cam Sutton, but even she alluded to without saying his name, we didn't have anybody last year essentially. Like the cornerback situation was not good, and it's just refreshing to hear somebody say that and then say, but this year, so that's a good feeling.
And she did point out that, Glenn, one of his best qualities is his ability to develop young corners. And
Yes.
she said you've seen it. You saw it in New Orleans when he was with Sean Payton, and he developed Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State into a defensive rookie of the year.
Yep.
So, I mean, by all means, he's got the tools he needs to succeed. It's just, can they put it together?
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, like not that I followed Marshawn Lattimore as much as I'm going to follow a Terrion Arnold because he plays for our team, but I don't. I see Terrion Arnold coming out of college already a step ahead of Marshawn Lattimore where he was. Marshawn was very good and he was rated very high, but I just see something in Terrion that I think is just going to be that it factor. He's just going to be over the top with it. So I'm happy about that. I'm excited.
That's all on Mina Kimes. The next thing I wanted to talk about was this week we had another round of, we'll keep it on the NFL analysts. We had another trio of NFL analysts, Mike Clay, Seth Walder, and Aaron Schatz. What an unfortunate last name.
Yeah, I'd have probably changed that, but
ranked.
I'd have taken my wife's last name for that one.
Hers was Sharts.
All right.
They ranked NFL rosters and projected the starting lineups.
Yeah.
And they did that this week, and basically they just ranked rosters top from bottom and all across the board. Where do they rank in terms of the talent on their roster? The Lions came in at number 5. I will say the one team right in front of them was the New York Jets at number 4.
I don't know about the number. I don't know about the Jets at 4. I just think that was, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to go there, but yeah.
So Mike Clay, he highlighted the strengths and weaknesses of each team.
Hold on. I want to throw this out there. The Jets might drop because Sauce Gardner might become a PGA golfer now. I'm just throwing that out. I want to make sure that I throw that out there.
That guy's crazy, man.
He is obsessed with golf all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I saw that on there.
All right, anyway, sorry to throw you off.
No, I saw he did that, and then Kyle Hamilton posted one of him hitting at like one of those virtual ranges or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And Sauce came back and said, "Of course you're good at golf. You went to Notre Dame."
Gosh. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
So anyway, Mike Clay highlighted strengths and weaknesses of each team after they did their initial ranking, and he noted that the Lions' biggest weakness on their team right now is their safety room. And he said he did offset this by saying, I'm grasping at straws here because they are so talented that for the sake of argument, he had to find a weakness, and to him it was that safety room. I guess what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree, disagree?
It's really hard to throw anybody out there, kind of like he's saying. I do disagree. Yes, I disagree.
What do you think of like defensive line?
I would actually say it might be our linebackers, honestly. Anzalone's good. He's a leader. He's around the ball. Jack Campbell. Another shout out to something Mina Kimes said that I disagree with. She said that she didn't like the tape that Jack Campbell put out last year, which he was second on the team in tackles. But anyway, as far as I just think that that's a position that we've got some good players, but not great. The other one that I would throw out there, because it's an unknown, is the cornerback room. You can't say that that is good or bad yet because we don't know that. We don't none of those guys really played for us last year. None of them.
Well, let's just stay on the cornerback room then, because Mike also talked about them. That he highlighted that cornerback room, not necessarily all of them. He highlighted the duo of Carlton Davis and Terrion Arnold in specific as X factors for this team. Essentially, just saying, these two are going to be players to watch that could turn the tide of that defense. I think is kind of what he's thinking.
He's making, yep.
Which we obviously knew. I think that's a pretty widespread, knowledge that how bad our defense was. Of course, our biggest free agency signing, one of our biggest free agency signings, along with our number one pick in the draft. I would hope those two would be the X factors you would select, especially being at the same position.
Do you think he's saying X factors like? I hate to keep going back to the stupid video game, but like X factors like Madden, like where they're going to be like the stars, or do you think he's saying like?
No, I think
the defense will live and die with them.
They're
essentially
going to be the impact players on that defense. As in, what he's saying is, in order for them to maybe jump higher on this list, those two are going to be the guys that have to step up.
I disagree with that. I think one of them would be one or the other. Doesn't matter which one. But I think somebody on that defensive line has to be an X factor. You have got to have somebody other than Aiden Hutchinson on that defensive line get some sacks this year. There has to be an X factor on that defensive line. There has to be.
Well, the thing with that is it goes hand in hand. Like we've talked about many times,
yes.
We're not going to beat it anymore.
Yes. No, you're right. One
guy rushes the pass. You get
for
guys
once.
Getting the quarterback uncomfortable.
First time ever.
It stops those guys in coverage. It stops them from having to trail a guy for 30 seconds or whatever the heck it is, 10 seconds to sit in the pocket and throw the ball clean.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Those two play off each other. So I understand. The last thing Mike did say was he highlighted a non-starter that you should know about, and it was another secondary guy, and it was Miss Anderson.
I hate you so much. I hope your mic dropped out on that.
If you want to go back and watch our previous shows, Zach was not sure who Amik Robertson was, and he pronounced his name Miss Anderson.
Does this look like a guy that would say something silly like that? Does this look like a dude that would make us something like that? Come on.
So anyway, we'll move on. He just said he was the non-starter to follow, just the guy that's going to make an impact who's not going to be out there for every snap. And it makes sense. And I don't hate him highlighting the secondary that whole entire thing because I think they're going to be the one that everyone's eyes are going to be on.
That was definitely the most important. I mean, yeah, like I said, the defensive line, you're going to need another guy, but it is the most important improvement that we needed to make this year. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's okay to put those guys in there.
So while we're talking about the secondary, and we talked about the safety room possibly being a weakness according to these guys, these NFL analysts, I did want to say There was a potential trade argument thrown out there by Heavy.com. They said that the Lions also needed to improve at safety, and they highlighted a All-Pro who is, rumored to be looking to move on, or possibly them moving on from him, his team, and that's Budda Baker. The proposal essentially is a three-way trade involving the Lions, Arizona, and Dallas. They did not really give much information on what Dallas would be giving up, but they said in order for the Lions to get Budda Baker, it was going to take a haul to send to Dallas in order to get it. So it's kind of like an avenue of three-way trade. So what they said was the Lions would get Budda Baker, and Budda Baker only. In return, Dallas would get from the Lions quarterback Hendon Hooker, wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones, running back Craig Reynolds, and a third-round pick in 2026. What are your thoughts on that?
They should change the name of their name. They should change their name to HeavyNo.com because I'm a hell no on that one. No, not even close.
I'll say I think it's a bit steep. Budda Baker is not as young as he used to be. He's certainly, I think he's been battling injuries lately.
We don't need a safety that bad.
No, well, I could see them pulling in. I could see a trade happening, but it's not going to take, I don't think it's going to take that much to get him. I would say maybe you cut out Hendon Hooker and Donovan Peoples-Jones and replace Craig Reynolds with someone that Dallas wants or whatever that's like a mid-tier guy and a third-round pick, then I'd be fine with it.
But based on the notes here, you're saying Dallas would receive all of this. Like, this isn't anything Cardinals would receive, right?
No, that's what they would receive.
Dallas would trade to Arizona. I get
Dallas
that.
Would trade something to
but
Arizona.
We're not giving some of this to Dallas and some of this to Arizona.
No, all the
Hell
Dallas.
no. I'm out on this one. No way. I'm not interested in this one at all.
Okay. That was just a hypothetical that I saw.
I know. No. I know. I'm
not saying. I'm just saying I saw that rolling across the internet this week, and I thought I would bring it up.
Yeah, no.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are I would not do that. No way. Not happening.
We'll move right off of that then. That's all we needed to hear.
Well, would you do it? I mean, I know you said it's steep, but would you do it?
No, saying what I just did, I think I would trade for Budda Baker, but I'm not giving up that much for him.
I would do all of this minus the third-round pick.
I wouldn't do even that. I would say take two players off, keep the third-round pick or something else, and then give like a Craig Reynolds or a guy of equivalent value.
Yeah, I can see that. The way it sits right now, I'd laugh at it if it was proposed.
Actually, what Dallas is possibly in need of a starting linebacker or someone to fill in that linebacker role, because Leighton Vander Esch medically retired.
Right.
We have a plethora of linebackers that we don't necessarily use all the time. We could give a Malcolm Rodriguez or a Derek Barnes.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, man, that's gonna make some people mad, man. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do this. No way. Not the way it is.
Well, let's jump here.
Yep.
We've talked about Sam LaPorta already. Let's keep talking about him. This week, we had the annual Tight End U happen in Nashville, where all of the top tight ends in the NFL gather, and they essentially put on a camp to hone their skills. And you have some of the elites in the game that help run it, like George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Lions had 3 tight ends there. We had Sam LaPorta, Brock Wright, and your guy Shane Zylstra.
My guy.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you. All right, I'll let it go.
All 3 were there. We also had, some, obviously the media was there. So we had Barstool Sports' Bussin' with the Boys, which is the duo of Taylor Lewan, former Michigan left tackle and Tennessee Titans tackle, and Will Compton, I believe is what his name is.
And I also believe that we had a current offensive lineman chilling with them too. I saw some videos of Graham Glasgow in a car with Taylor Lewan.
I don't know if that was there. I
think that was the beer games.
That was the beer
whatever.
Olympics for the Barstool Sports.
Yeah. Okay.
But
what a stud, man.
But so Taylor Lewan interviewed Travis and talked to him, and he asked Kelce, who do you think is the best tight end at this camp right now? And without hesitation, Kelce said, and we're not gonna throw out the F words here, so I'm just gonna fill it in here, right? LaPorta had a blanking
A freaking year, yeah.
a blanking year, dude. LaPorta had a year last year. I'm pumped on seeing where he goes in his second year because his first year he killed it. Then he continued. That was kind of in a side conversation, not in the interview. That was just something that was posted to social media. In the interview, he said, LaPorta is a blanking stud. LaPorta is nasty. He said, those Iowa guys, they're all here and they've all got it figured out.
Yeah, I don't know what they do to those tight ends in Iowa, but they've got some kind of mold that I don't think they sleep in beds. I think they have some kind of tight end mold.
Dallas Clark,
wow.
T.J. Hawkinson, Noah Fant went there.
Yep.
George Kittle went there.
Yep.
Sam LaPorta went there. It's just like the list goes on.
Eric All went there. I knew I'd get you with that. All right. Anyways.
But just I guess it's nice to see a guy who's at the top of the list of best tight ends in the NFL saying that a guy that we just drafted in the second round last year was already the best tight end he's seen at a camp of the best tight ends in the NFL.
And the thing is, like, I look at this and it makes me even more excited to think about the fact that Travis Kelce has an ego, right? I mean, he's a bro. He's one of the guys. He's got. Yeah, I'm shocked. Like, he could have just answered this question and just been done with it, but he gave such high praise to a player who's probably taking the torch from him in a couple years. I'm shocked at how
here's what I was shocked.
Genuine it is.
I was shocked at the fact that, given the chance, like you said, with his ego, that he didn't immediately jump to, well, I'm here.
Right, exactly.
I'm the best.
Exactly.
He didn't even do that. I'm not kidding. There was no hesitation. He sat there. He looked for a split second away from the camera, and then he said, "Sam LaPorta."
Yeah, that's, dude. That I got chills, man. I'm stoked about that. I love the tight end position, and I'm super happy that we got a really good one here.
You heard it here first. Zach loves tight ends.
No, I don't. Argue that, or I don't know. Anyways, moving on. Let's. So yeah, that's basically LaPorta. He's doing well. Everybody's seeing it. The guys that matter are seeing it and giving him his props, which is pretty dope. So moving on. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Jamarr Chase was at a card show in Ohio last week. He was signing autographs, taking pictures with people. A fan wearing an Amon-Ra St. Brown jersey asked to take a photo with him, and Chase is on video saying yes, but you need to take that jersey off first while he was wearing the Amon-Ra jersey. That's stupid to me, but whatever. I don't know. The photo and story were shared on ESPN Sports Center, so it made big news. And the fan posted it on his Instagram story, tagging St. Brown and asking for some backup. So let him know what happened there, man.
Yep, and St. Brown, being the guy he is, saw it on Sports Center, saw the guy post it. He shared it on his own Instagram story and said, "Send that jersey to me. I got you, bro." So
yeah.
It was funny. Before he even obviously probably had the jersey in hand, he posted again with a white jersey with blue numbering on it. It doesn't look like a Lions uniform that they wear, but he essentially had signed another jersey that he was going to send him personally, and you can read on the signature on the numbers. He wrote, "Next time, make sure you stand on business."
Let's go. Blake Corum, business is finished. Yeah, I think that was pretty awesome. One thing I just want to say, I don't know. I'm a fan of the Lions. I don't know what happens in the other teams and players and stuff, but isn't it really cool what social media has done for fans? It's opened up so many avenues. A lot of times social media gets a bad rap or whatever, but there's good things happening there. Look back at the draft. Kirby Joseph saw that reaction from the Packers fan. You know where I'm going. Sent game-worn cleats to the dude pointing to him. You know what I mean? Like, it's guy from Arizona. Yeah, it's just opened up so many avenues, and our Lions players, with the culture we have here and what they're doing, they're doing things right. They're sending stuff out. Barry Sanders is always giving away stuff, so much so that I can't believe not everybody has a Barry Sanders autograph. I don't. So if anybody wants to give me one, but for real, like I just wanted to point that out real quick. Like the guys are doing cool things on social media, so it's fun. It's fun to see.
Yeah, it is. We're going to stay on Amon-Ra here and talk about him a little bit. There is, I did see come across the news feed this week talking about his contract.
Yeah.
The Lions, even with the new contract they gave him that made him the highest paid wide receiver at that time, are still ranked number 26 out of 32 teams in the NFL on the amount of money dedicated to the wide receiver room in 2024. I just wanted to point it out as expert cap manipulation by the front office.
I fully agree that
it's going to hit later.
But I'm going to ask you a question though. Is that for lack of a? Is that obviously we've got somebody on a rookie contract and that's going to change? Is this for lack of a good second option? Is that why we're so low? Because we're not paying anybody.
Let's be honest though. How many teams out there have top paid wide receivers? More than one top paid wide receiver. I think you're looking at
Philadelphia.
I think you're looking at maybe 5 to 10 teams in that category.
Okay. I can go Bears, Philly, Chicago.
Chicago doesn't. I don't know. Chicago is so iffy to me.
But they've got DJ Moore and they've got Keenan Allen who are making bank. Yep.
Anyway.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah. No. You got like Philly. I'm trying to think of other ones. Like I don't even know if you count the Seahawks because Tyler Lockett's good, but he's not considered a top wide receiver in the NFL.
Right.
The Cincinnati Bengals could have two, but they're not paying T. Higgins the amount that he wants. He's on a franchise tag.
Yep.
Which is still good money, but I mean, I'll miss a few, whatever. But the point is, like, yes, we don't have an option that we're going to be paying Amon-Ra money, but that doesn't mean that we don't have good players.
No, and I totally agree. I'm not trying to take away from what this front office has done and the way that they've paid our guys and made it work, and will continue to make it work, I believe, based on what I've seen from the way the contracts are structured. We're getting set up to do the same thing next year. But I hope that it's not. I think it's part of it, but I hope it's not a majority of it that we're lacking in the wide receiver room. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe JMO changes that number drastically next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think that's it for our main event. So as always, we're going to round out our show with a little bit of That Was Random. We're going to talk about some happenings around the league, and let's kick it off with the legal action surrounding the league and Zach eating a little bit of crow here.
I went on record a month ago or so, even more than that, in saying, I was wrong about this dude. And I'm gonna throw. I'll introduce this one. Former Lions defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs. When he was on this team, man, I was a fan of Isaiah Buggs. Obviously, I had no idea the person he was.
I think everybody liked. I'm not saying. I want to make this clear. I'm not jabbing you for liking him when he was on Lions. I'm jabbing you for continuing to like him after what he did when.
Oh gosh, dude, get out of here! What do you mean continuing to like him?
You said you always like Isaiah Buggs, and then I know you soured a little bit after the social media posts and that. But
okay.
I think you still have love for him in your heart.
It's very important that we say yes. When he left, that I was sour that he got let go or whatever. Like you said, the social media thing kind of set me off a little bit, but it was prior to.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the legal.
Okay, reasons. I'm making sure that you're not making it sound like I'm like, oh yeah,
Isaiah Buggs through what we're about to tell you.
Then you're not on the show.
Seek help.
Okay, thank you. I'm just making sure you don't run my name through the mud because of Isaiah Buggs.
He was released by the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, he was released finally. He should have been released on the first legal action with the animal endangerment and leaving dogs and whatever else.
He was he turned. I just want to.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
He turned himself in earlier in June. After 2 arrest warrants were issued for him on misdemeanor animal cruelty charges. That was just kind of it was really quiet around the Chiefs. They weren't really talking about it. It
was like a Harrison Butker speech.
Yeah. Well, no, because Andy Reid came out and backed him after that.
That's true. That's true.
If he's off this team, then I'm off this team. Something like that. But anyway.
I still don't believe. I still think that was a deep fake. I don't see Andy Reid seeing.
We had that legal trouble. And then if you want to continue, something else just came out recently.
He was arrested again for alleged domestic violence and burglary. I mean,
And that's when he was released.
right, and I'm trying to be, I'm pausing because I'm trying to be careful what I say because I don't know the facts. But apparently, he broke into his ex-girlfriend's house or something.
I don't know any of the details regarding it.
Well, I'm just saying what was allegedly reported. Allegedly, dragged her by her hair, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just
what I heard. Some extra details regarding this. I heard he was given $5,000. A bail was set for $5,000. He posted bail, and then they revoked it. So as of the 24th of June, I haven't heard anything since that point. But the 24th, he was in a cell. Was still
and should
in
be
a cell
and should be.
in jail.
I think we're both saying he should be
innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, those allegations aren't great. But
he turned himself in on the first one. I don't care what happened the second one. He should be in a jail cell.
Yeah.
For either one of these.
If it's Isaiah Buggs, if Mike Vick, a superstar in the NFL, had similar charges with animal cruelty and ended up in doing time,
I'm just saying this is completely me. And I know this is probably going to be, Brendan's going to hope I cut this out because I'm saying it. This dude needs mental help. Because if you look at the way he posted, what he was posting on his social media when the Lions stuff went down, and I don't know. There's something wrong there. There just is. I don't know what it is. I'm not.
You say what you want to say. That's fine. I don't care.
I know. I don't know. There's something there. There's something there that needs to be. He needs help. He needs help.
Well, let's move on to some
from a
jail
more
disappointing news, and this one could involve the Lions at some point. The NFL is
and us.
The NFL has been actively fighting a lawsuit regarding Sunday Ticket. If you guys, I'm sure all of you are familiar with NFL Sunday Ticket. It's an extra way to view games when you don't have the local coverage.
Right. If you own a house and all that, then you can't afford it. If you live in your brother's basement, then you can.
I never had Sunday Ticket. I just want to throw that out there.
What was it, Red Zone then?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was like a free trial, I think.
I was just trying for a jab there.
Yeah, well,
it backfired.
I dodged it. Okay, so a jury of 8 in that case recently determined that the league did break antitrust laws by selling Sunday Ticket subscriptions exclusively on DirecTV and at an inflated price. The NFL has since come out and said they are going to appeal this decision, but should they lose that appeal, they will be stuck with at least a $4.8 billion bill in damages. $4.7 billion of that would go to the residential class, and the other $97 million to the commercial class.
Which, if I'm not, I haven't passed the bar. I'm working on it. No, I'm not. But what I'm seeing is right. The $4.7 billion would go to the residential class. Essentially, anybody that's had Sunday Ticket would get some kind of.
Elaborate on that.
There's a class action.
Yeah, it's gonna go to people who
some kind of payout
were purchased.
Okay.
Purchased it, But maybe DirecTV, they can go through their subscription.
I should have had it. Maybe I could have got some free tickets.
You honestly, with the amount of people, you might get like a few $100.
Yeah, it won't be much. Yeah.
But that number is not the set number. Should they lose that appeal, they could be on the line for up to $14.39 billion because damages can be tripled in cases under federal antitrust law.
That is nuts, man. That is such a number.
You want to hear the actual more nuts part? Here we go. All damages costs will be spread out through the league over all 32 NFL teams, meaning every single team will have to pay an equal share in those damages. That means the Lions could be on the line for a whopping $449.6 million, along with every other team in the NFL, all other 31.
Yo, let's Sheila, what's your GoFundMe or your Venmo? We'll give you a couple bucks.
Obviously, don't be too scared because that's not going to affect They're not gonna pull it out of our cap space. That's not
No,
gonna
but
happen.
everybody's saying that it's going to drive up ticket prices. It's going to drive up stuff at the box or at the concessions. It's
It
going to
could
drive all
it
this
could
stuff.
affect salary cap in the future. We could see less increases because we just had to pay a gigantic amount of money all across the league.
Well, and you're not going to be making what they made on this now because you know what I mean? So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to
So
change
there's
some
obvious
things.
repercussions to take a look at. Obviously, we'll have to wait for that appeal, and knowing the legal process, that won't be happening anytime soon.
Right.
Next up, let's move well, depending on your views, we might be moving out of depression. We might be just jumping deeper into it for you.
Yep.
So the NBA and NHL drafts both happened this past week. Start off with the hometown Pistons. At number 5, selected Ron Holland of the NBA's G League Ignite, and then they traded up massively in the second round with the Timberwolves and
Yep.
drafted a Bobby Clinton out of Wake Forest at number 37.
I,
Any thoughts on that?
I can't look at the camera right now. I don't want them to see me cry, Brendan. I'm not. Okay. A couple things. The way I feel, and then caveats with it. I don't love either of these picks. I just don't. A couple caveats though. Ron Holland was the best person available at 5. This was a really crappy draft. Honestly, it sucked. We needed shooting though. I know he was a little bit later in the draft, and he deserved to be. But we're in such dire need of things that maybe you pick people early. You know, Dalton Connect would have been a guy. I would have been happy with him. Clinton.
Let's be honest though, Dalton Connect was not supposed to be there when he was.
No, I know.
Like he was a top
I
10
know.
pick.
Basically, what I'm saying is we needed a shooter, and we got somebody who literally shoots like 23% from 3.
Yeah.
Like he was one of the
He's
most
also below 50% and just field goal percentage.
good
on his
lord,
jump
man.
shots.
Good. Okay. Yeah. You know, you can hear the shake in my voice because I'm so angry. This Pistons team has absolutely hit rock bottom. Here's the thing, man. No, I don't like it. I'm just gonna answer that. The one thing I will say, at least Klintman can shoot. He's I think a big power forward, and he can spread the floor and shoot. But Trajan Langdon came on, and I don't know that you really want to say this as a GM. I'm not really sure that this was a good thing to say in a press conference, but he literally said like agents were saying they do not want to come here and even try out. Like they were having trouble getting rookies or draft prospects to even come to Detroit and give them a workout. How embarrassing as a team is that? That is so embarrassing. That's horrible.
I'll say first off, I like that he said it just because it's him being transparent. But the second thing is
you don't need to be 100%
he needs some
transparent.
PR training,
Yeah.
obviously, because you shouldn't be saying that. Just from a team standpoint, you shouldn't be saying that. But he's not saying something that people don't already know.
No, I know. I mean, it's one of those things that I guess it just would be better without you. It'd be better without saying, I guess.
So I will say, should we? And I hate saying this because of how we've been burned with it in the past, but if Ron Holland can develop that jump shot, he is going to be scary. His defense and rebounding are really good. He's just got to add the offense.
And our shooting coach, I can't remember his name. It eludes me, but they call him the shot doctor. So it's possible we get some. I don't know.
All I'm gonna say is,
Cade didn't have a good shot in his rookie season either. But go ahead. I'm depressed.
I understand. All I'm gonna say is, there's hope, a very fraction of it, but knowing where we've been in the past, this doesn't look good.
Yeah, listen. I mean, I know you said knowing where we are in the past, and it's recent past. I call absolute. Yeah. I'm
Killian Hayes.
I call absolute bullshit on there being hope. I'm just saying. Jaden Ivey, we drafted him. There was hope. Asar Thompson, yeah, we drafted him. He couldn't shoot. There was hope. Again, you just said Killian Hayes. We drafted him. Awesome defense, just like this Ron Holland guy. Couldn't shoot his way out of a paper bag. There was hope.
All right. Well,
I'm losing it.
We'll move out of the Pistons just by the last thing I'm going to mention is they did also make a trade and they sent Quentin Grimes to the where did Magic? Was it?
No, Dallas.
Dallas.
Yep,
Sorry,
yep,
he used to play for the Magic, but
yep.
they
Dallas
sent Quentin
trade.
Grimes to Dallas, and in return they got Tim Hardaway coming back to Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't really need to elaborate on that.
No.
You can if you want.
No, I like it. I mean, we got a shooter. We essentially took on his contract. We essentially traded and took on his contract. He's a good locker room presence. He's a good shooter. Obviously watched him since he played in Michigan. And it's funny you say he played for the Magic. It seems like everybody that's ever played for Michigan has gone to play for the Magic now recently. But I'm good with it. I'm good with that. That was a little bit of a silver lining, I guess. I like that trade.
Yeah. So I just want to stick with a few other points in the NBA. They might be happy. One of them might be happy. One of them's definitely happy for most people. But to me, I like this first one, and I know you're going to hate it, but
it's just an eye roll.
The Los Angeles Lakers did end up drafting Bronny James in the second round at pick 55, I believe it was.
Listen.
And he will be playing with his dad. So I did just see come through today that LeBron James did decline the option on his final year of his contract in LA with hopes to sign a deal to stay there longer, which just means to me that he wants to play with his son and help guide him in the early years of his career. To me, and I know you're gonna echo the same sentiment probably, Bronny James did not do anything worthy of getting him drafted. It's going to be odd to see where he goes. I think it's a cool story, just because we've never seen this before, where we see a son and a father playing together on the same team.
Yes.
So I think it's a cool story,
and I would love
points to follow it. Go ahead. I mean, I know you're going to echo a lot of the same things because we feel the same way.
Listen, if the Los Angeles Lakers, which they're a storied franchise, right? So I'm not trying to say too many bad things about them. They're in the NBA. If you don't know the Lakers, you've never seen what a basketball looks like. If you're looking to make a movie or sell seats, then you got it. Good draft. You just won the draft.
Let's be honest, though, the Lakers don't need that.
No, I'm not. But that's what I'm getting at.
No. I'm just bouncing off your point. Keep
going.
And
Woj came out. Wojnarowski came out, and he actually said, like, I'm sick of the, don't say nepotism, because there's nepotism all over the NBA. It's rampant. I agree. You're right. I understand that. It even goes, outside of family. It's, coaches that have known other players and brought them in and all this stuff. It's other players that bring in other people because they hang out with each other. I don't like it because Bronny shouldn't have been drafted. He just shouldn't have been drafted. He should have been an undrafted free agent. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been on an NBA team somewhere, but the dude averaged like less than 5 points a game in USC. And that wasn't even a great team this year. The one thing I will say, the reason I do like it is because I've got a 14-year-old kid. I got a 14-year-old son. If I had the option to take my kid to work and have him follow in my footsteps, and it'd be something that everybody was cheering for, I would do that. It would be fun. It would be a good thing. I don't like LeBron. I'm happy for them though, just because that would be a dream come true as a father. So taking things out of it, the basketball out of it, I like it. Putting basketball in it, it's the dumbest move I've heard in a long time. Stupid.
So we'll move on to the last NBA point we have here. Back into the state of Michigan. If any of you watched March Madness this past year, you undoubtedly watched the Cinderella kind of run by the Oakland Golden Grizzlies? Is that what they are, right?
Yep.
So they
Kings of the Court.
They rolled into the March Madness tournament and pulled off some pretty good upsets, and they were led by a 3-point shooting legend, just chalking those things up whether they went in or not.
Jack the Mac.
Jack Golke. He did not get drafted in the NBA, but he did sign a contract with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
He's gonna be there for rookie camp, and he's gonna put some tape on, and hopefully, Steph Curry does it. Steph Curry does a lot more than shoot threes, but that's his breadwin. He's the breadwinner of that.
And honestly, he might fit well there in Oklahoma if he can find a spot. obviously they've run very fast-paced offense, which I don't know if it'll suit him as well because I don't remember if he's really one of those like floor spacer kind of guys.
Yeah.
But if he can come in off the bench and just start like nailing
for sure.
three-pointers,
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
mean,
be huge for them alongside
Yeah.
like Chet and Shea. And
yeah, and he could come in and when Josh Giddey finds another 14-year-old, he can
Josh
take
Giddey
that
is
spot
no
over.
longer on the Thunder. He got traded.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that.
I think he's on the Bulls.
Hopefully,
now.
he got traded to a damn jail cell.
I think he got traded to Chicago.
Okay, I digress. But yeah, that's cool for Jack, man. That is awesome. I watched that. The Cinderella story you always get one every year. I remember one of the biggest ones I ever remember was George Mason University was back in the day in my my second one of the brothers between us here in age. We watched that, and I just remember him always singing George Mason University because it just seemed it was everywhere. It was awesome, but yeah, it was cool to see one from Michigan and one this close too.
Yeah,
so.
and Golke, no one knew his name before March Madness, and then after March Madness, he was brand deals with Buffalo Wild Wings. So
yeah, and that's true, and he's signed. I mean, I've seen him in like 3 different big major like autograph signing things with other large prospects and stuff. So it's cool. It was cool. Good for him and good for Michigan and Oakland.
Last thing for the show is we talked about the NHL draft happening. The Red Wings made a pair of picks. I don't think that's still going. I think we just got like the first initial few rounds of picks.
I'll be honest with you. I don't follow the draft for NHL.
I don't either. I just wanted to point it out there. They took a Michael Brandsig with the number 15 pick. I'm not going to say his second last name because it's questionable whether I will be canceled for saying it or not if I pronounce it wrong. So
I was wondering how you were going to work your way out of that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it. It could be you say it wrong and it's a racial slur. So
before the top of the show, before we actually went live or turned on the cameras here, we were kind of talking about it, and he said he wasn't going to say his name, and I'm thinking, well, then what are you going to do? Because it's still in here. So
well, he's got a hyphen name, so I'll just say the first one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, that works.
Yeah.
Yep.
They took him with the number 15 pick, and then they took a Max Plant.
I don't know. Again, I really
don't. With the number
don't.
47 pick. So I think they're a pair of wings. So that's all I really have for you on that. I wanted to point out that the Red Wings were also making picks in the draft.
They are legitimately a pair of wings now. Legitimately.
Yeah,
they are.
A good one.
They are legitimately a pair of wings.
And I know the NHL or there were
His
a lot
hat's
of
too
fans.
tight.
There were a lot of fans mad this week because
the trade.
The Red Wings did make a trade. I think it was one of their defensemen that they traded away, and he was a bright spot.
I think it was like
it was Wallman.
Yep.
Yeah, they traded Jake Wallman to the Sharks.
And and it's for future consideration. So what is that? I don't know. Maybe picks, maybe money. You don't know exactly what it is. But I think he again, I don't follow Red Wings hockey a lot, and I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. But based on the reaction and based on what I think I saw in some of the games that I did watch, I do believe that he was a young prospect that I think a lot of people were hoping would kind of like I don't know. I just think he was a young guy that people were looking forward to seeing more of.
Yeah.
So
well, that'll do it for us. Bring us to the end of the show here. We're hoping we get a lot more Lions news as we start to ramp up training camp at the middle of this month.
Yep.
But for now, go out there and have a beer if that's what you like. Have a hot dog, watch some fireworks, and enjoy your 4th of July.
And
as always,
hold on, go Lions, yeah. But also make sure that if you're in a wheelchair and you've got fireworks next to you, that you back it up, Terry.
Put it in reverse.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
Anyway,
people got to know what that is by now, right?
All right, that's a viral meme. Anyway, as I was saying, have a good week and go Lions.
Go Lions, baby.